Good. Folks, we're going to start the meeting.
I know that's paranoid, but that's the way.
Okay, live, mics are live. Folks, open workshop, it is 6 p.m. I'll take a roll call. Trustee Burke.
Here.
Trustee Desai.
Here.
Trustee Egan.
Here.
Trustee Gadesky Rodriguez.
Here.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Here.
Trustee Scafani.
Here.
Trustee Wilback is absent. Vice President Munoz.
Here.
President Bellato.
Here.
Okay. One bit of business. Last month you passed emergency virtual remote instruction programs, which was approved by the state. So what we're going to introduce at the open workshop is we're going to update the policy and regs for that. So we're going to introduce it. It was all sent home, and we'll vote on this at the November board meeting. The only thing on my agenda tonight, once again, everything was sent home, but Resolution A2, it was the acceptance of the annual state assessment data, ESSA. So everybody did receive that. And then on the finance resolution, we're going to table B13, only because it's a duplicate. I didn't pick it up. And that is all I have from the agenda. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Day. So we have a possible resolution that's going to be introduced tonight.
No, we're going to do executive first.
I have to clear the room for executive.
Yes.
But then they have the right to come back for open workshop. All right? So folks, it is, just listen to what I'm going to do. I'm going to adjourn, folks. I'm going to adjourn the open workshop. It is 6:02. The board is going into executive session, but the board will return for an open workshop. If the audience goes to the auditorium, I will send someone to give you a 5-minute notice and come back. It's 6:50. We're going to reconvene the open workshop. I'm presenting a resolution. I'm calling it D1. And that's what our discussion in open workshop is going to be about.
Don't put it on consent. Put it on consent, abstain from the whole thing.
No.
Where do you want to
Sign it.
No, the other one. You could just put it on consent for personnel.
Then I'm going to have to make an announcement outside because the agendas are printed, resolutions are on the bulletin board. I have no problem. You tell me where you want to put it, but I'm still going to read it.
I still want it.
No. Then I don't know how to bury it.
No.
D1.
Do we have an agenda?
Super, I guess I'll turn it over to Dr. Gagnon.
Right, we have, this is a board resolution that the board is putting a recommendation to make the science fair extra credit. We do have the director of science here tonight to talk about what is authentic research. Okay, we have Tara Degnan here.
Hi everyone, good evening. Okay, I want to say Mr. Keith invited me here this evening to speak on the science fair, which is called an authentic research project. We use the term science fair because it goes back many, many years and everybody knows it as the science fair. However, I think we need to understand the benefits of authentic scientific research. So before I give you why I think we need to continue with our current curriculum policy and process, it's really not a policy, but our current curriculum activity, I want you to hear from a few of my colleagues throughout Hudson County who work with me every year. We've worked together since I started in this role, and I want you to hear how they feel about the Hudson County STEM Showcase and using this authentic research project in their district. So we have 3 short clips. I believe one's from Union City, one is from North Bergen, and also Jersey City, which is our neighboring district right here. And the president of New Jersey City University, Sue Henderson, is also going to speak briefly on the importance of authentic research. So we want to go through the clips quickly before I give you my
STEM
research.
Showcase is very important for participating students because it helps the students to explore and use their inquisitive minds in solving the issues that they're passionate about. My name is Dr. Mina Armani. I am a chemistry teacher at Jose Marti STEM Academy, and I have been working in the district for close to 15 years. Students who are participating in STEM Showcase and through presenting their scientific research findings, they actually, during this process, learn to build up their perseverance. They improve their discipline. They actually grow a better appreciation for learning because they realize what is the application of what they're learning in school. I always tell my students that learning is the way to go. It's not always about grades. It's not always being number one. It's about making an imprint in the society, in the future, in the community.
Because it's the future. STEM is important because it's the future, because we are making medical advances and we need to keep up with engineering and technology to sustain all those advances. I am Manisha Shah, District Science Supervisor for Jersey City Public Schools. Hudson County, as you know, is a melting pot of the world because we have so many nationalities and different cultures, and students come from all walks of lives, and we like to draw upon everybody's talents and experiences as well as their expertise in different fields, and these students are showing that in Hudson County, so we can succeed. I like to encourage these students because I know they're passionate about making a difference, and I do challenge them to be agent of change at an early age. So they are very eager to show what they could do and how they could improve the world. And I'm inspired by them. It makes me want to work harder to find funding and showcase their talent to the world.
On behalf of NJCU, I wish to extend my congratulations to the 297 students who participated in this year's annual Hudson STEM Showcase and the thousands who took part in the preliminary competitions. Additionally, we have wonderful news for each of our 17 gold medal finalists. I am happy to announce that NJCU will offer each of our finalists a presidential academic scholarship to cover your tuition when you enroll at NJCU to continue your education. I hope you consider NJCU as the next step in your promising future. You're each future leaders, and I am proud of all your efforts. As you can see behind me, I'm speaking to you from one of our state-of-the-art biology labs here at NJCU.
I think the point was the thousands of
Yes,
people.
I can give you the 3 points from the video. Sue Henderson just said, and I quoted, "I want to congratulate the 297 students from Hudson County that participated in this year's STEM Showcase. And I want to congratulate the thousands of students that competed in the preliminary competitions." Those are thousands of students from Hudson County, from all over the districts here, that compete in authentic research competitions before they get to the Hudson County STEM Showcase. Those clips were from the congratulatory video that was made last year. The STEM Showcase was virtual, so we did not have a big award ceremony, so they put these clips together and they sent this out to all the parents. It was a 20-minute video, but I think you get my gist here, that there are thousands of students that do authentic research. I just feel that we need to continue this. So you heard from the science supervisors from around the county, teachers, Sue Henderson, president of NJCU, who also said that she was awarding the gold medal winners full scholarships to NJCU for 4 years. We've had many students win those scholarships. I sat in the auditorium at NJCU while those students accepted their prize in front of their family. as a grade 9 student in Bayonne High School, when somebody comes up and you walk up to that podium and they sat, and it was a surprise for all of them, you have a full academic scholarship here if you choose to go here, is a pretty big deal for our students in Hudson County. So you heard from them, now you're going to hear from me. This is why I think we should continue our authentic research project. All right, so authentic scientific investigation. Let's call it that. It's not a science fair. That's the old term. We use it all the time, authentic investigation. Directly correlates to the 8 science and engineering practices. You have them, all there. They're also known as the next generation science skills. To meet the standards, activities aligned to the following 8 practices must be addressed. The days of memorizing content and fun facts, such as parts of our cell, order of the planet, and parts of the planet, just not good enough anymore. To be innovators and thinkers, we have to make sure our students are meeting the needs of those 8 practices. Planning and conducting, yes, do we have them?
We don't have paper.
Here's the.
I can hand them out. I mean,
No,
this is,
good.
you don't have to read
Read
them
it.
now. I mean, leisure reading after the meeting, not something to look at now, but I just want you to have it in your packet. There's 8 practices. One is asking questions. 2 is developing and using models. 3 is planning and carrying out investigations, analyzing and interpreting data, using math, constructing explanations, engaging in arguments with evidence, and obtaining and evaluating and communicating information. The science fair investigation correlates to all 8. For simplicity purposes, if you just want to look at planning and conducting investigations, because that's what we can all understand when we think of science fair, students have to create and conduct an investigation to meet the 8 standards. This is the best activity that you could ever do to meet the 8 standards in our curriculum. There's no reason to not do this during the school day. I can read you some questions that our students have developed in grade 5 and 6.
So that's the week that.
Oh,
That's
okay.
during the school day.
Yeah.
So the science fair project is done during the school day.
The authentic research project takes place from marking period 1 all the way through the end of marking period 2. It's a long-term project. It's an assessment. Teachers have to.
That's not been translated to
Yeah,
parents.
that's the problem.
So,
I find that to be hard to believe.
Well,
We've been doing this
Parents, I
for
have
years.
two, I have
But
1,
can I-
2, 3, 4
Let me just
parents.
explain how we do it, and then we can answer the question. So what happens is, teachers introduce this process, right? Those 8 practices are in the standards. There's no denying that we have to cover those 8 practices. That's from the NJDOA, right? It's also known as Next Generation Science Standards. So what teachers do is they introduce this process to their students. And those of you who have children, Unit 1, the engineering design process and the scientific methods. It's in every textbook that we've ever seen. That's what they do. They introduce this. Students have mini assignments. Come home, let's think about it, let's do science buddies, let's search, let's come up with our question. Simple question. What type of potato chip is the greasiest? What detergent cleans socks best? It could be as simple as that in grade 5 and 6. Then they conduct their investigation. Do they do part of this at home? Yes. There's no way every teacher can take the student's authentic idea and do this in the classroom with everybody. But it's teacher-led, and the data collection is done at home. And they come back, they write a scientific paper, and they present their findings to the class. It's 40 days in a marking period, it's at least a marking period to do this. It can't be done all in school. There's no way. Jersey City has this. They have their big fair, their preliminary competition. It used to be in the Jersey City Armory, and they would narrow down their winners. Everybody does a research project. The skills far outweigh anything you can ever possibly do in a classroom. Go ahead.
So I have a-
Sure.
So these are graded, right?
Yes.
And what we're understanding is that grading from school to school is different.
The directive to the teachers is, and I'm not in every school, but I do my best.
Yeah.
2 test grades for this process. But think about it, it's 2 assessment
Oh.
grades over 2 marking periods.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it's not a
no,
lot.
it's a 1 marking period. It's in the second market period.
It depends on when the school has their fair.
See, that's another thing
That's
too. So there are some schools, and I have to just bring this up, Director Degnan, there are some schools where the science fair project is due in the beginning of November. Then you have some schools that's due in the middle of December. So explain to me why it's fair that some schools should have longer to prepare for this science fair or this authentic learning experience and not others. There's no consistency.
See, that's what my concern, it seems that the idea is wonderful, it's not being expressed completely
I could
the same across the
completely
board.
micromanage the fair in every school if you want me to.
Yeah.
But it really is up to the teachers who are running this. There's a 7th and 8th grade teacher in every school.
Just a question, rubric, scoring of this,
Mhm.
is it individual teacher develops their own rubric, or do you
Yes.
have a rubric that is district-wide?
The teacher develops their rubric, and it's all the same. It's, the presentation skills is one, and the paper/project is the other. Those are where the 2 grades come from. No one's failing because of the science fair. I did a quick search of grade books yesterday, I think. They have hundreds down the list. 5 points out of 5 points. I mean, it's hard to fail because of this project. I really think it helps the students. I mean, if you don't do it,
What do we lose by taking it away? From with the students?
But you're not taking
I'm
it
sorry,
away.
taking away the option of doing
We're
it.
taking it away.
Making it option, I'm sorry, the
It's
option.
making it-
I
making it
I
optional.
correct myself. But do the children lose anything if we're making it optional? That's my question.
the children lose out on meeting, we as a district are not meeting next generation science standards, which are New Jersey adopted standards.
So it says in the next generation science standards that there must be a science fair in every
No, it says
district?
they should be meeting those 8 practices.
Right,
and
so
science fair
you're
meets all
saying
8.
that the science, and I happen to know this is not true, because I happen to think our science teachers in this district are very capable. So you're saying that there's no other way for a science teacher in this district to meet the 8 science standards other than the science fair?
Planning and carrying out.
So you're saying no other assignments cover these next generation standards?
There are, everything they do
Right,
covers the standards.
right, so without the science fair, these content standards will still be covered.
I don't think you're gonna meet the full 8 practices per grade level progression, no.
So if
Seems
you,
like a curriculum
so in
that should
each
be addressed,
classroom,
though.
in each classroom, are we doing experiments in science?
Of course, there's hands-on investigations
So
in
if-
3 base.
then we're still meeting them, because they're still planning out how they're going to do the experiment, they're carrying out the investigation in the experiment they're doing in the classroom.
I
So
think
that
we're
one
missing-
is being done, you're talking about more of a
Everything we
research.
do is standards based.
And here's a question I have, potato chips which potato chips are the greasiest, you said, you gave as an example
Fifth
for
grade.
just the 5th grade thing, does that correlate to the standards, what topics you're covering in science for 5th grade?
Okay, there's content standards, right? So you're thinking the cell, the planets, those are content standards.
I'm thinking that
Right.
if we're asking children to do a project, right, this research, this authentic research project,
Yes.
shouldn't it be on topics that they're actually going to learn about within the classroom,
We're
that is
addressing the
within,
standards, so they created that question
no,
on
no,
their
no,
own,
no, I'm
right?
asking specifically. If I spend my science class
Mhm.
teaching about matter,
Mhm.
right? And then the child comes in and does a science fair project on the greasiness of a potato chip, right? How does that correlate with what
Look at the 8
I-
practices, wait, no, but there's difference, there's
No,
content
see,
strategy.
because in the classroom, I am spending my time, just listen, Ms. Director Decker.
I'm listening.
In my classroom, I'm spending my time teaching about matter in 5th grade. It's a big chunk of their thing is talking about the different parts of matter, what happens to matter, the matter, how it goes from liquid to solid to gas, the whole thing. We're spending a lot of time on this, like a whole module on this, right?
Correct.
So, and then they come in and they do a project about the greasiness of a potato chip. I understand, I perfectly understand that research and development of their project is beneficial to them. But if the project is based on topics covered in the curriculum for that grade level, wouldn't that have more of an impact? Because what they're learning in the classroom, now they're actually doing investigation and research on that topic.
Every student can come up with a scientific question directly correlated to the disciplinary core ideas, which is the content you're talking
Of
about.
course.
Matter, solid, liquid, gas.
Whatever content is per grade
If
level.
every student could do that, that would be wonderful. We would have very high level projects. But what we're doing is we're working on the practices here. There's practices and there's content. If we can combine them, that's
But you can't
wonderful.
combine that because you could do a research paper on matter. You could do a
What would be the
project
question?
on matter.
What's your question for them?
Okay.
The students have to come up with their question on their own, by themselves. That's
Yes.
what that is. What is
And my
interesting to them?
child's in 5th grade comes home and says to me, Mom, what am I gonna do my project on? And I say, and I developed a question for them. And I say, well, we could do it on the iron, the cereal has iron. And we could get the magnet, we can pull out the iron.
We did that. But there's no-
Beautiful.
but
What does
what's
that
the-
have to do?
But what's the question you're doing
What
with
does
the
that
iron
have to
cereal?
do? What does that have to do with what my 5th grader is doing in the classroom, learning in the
They
classroom?
have to engage in these 8 practices.
All
They
right.
do. They have to engage in these 8 practices.
please.
I want to ask a little bit off that topic. Are there studies to show if there has been a social, emotional, mental impact on students who are unable to complete the level of project that might be next to their peer? And I speak from somewhat of a personal experience where one student is capable and good for that kid, we don't want to take away because that's a great thing, where a student might not have the tools, resources, or support at home to complete a similar equitable project. Has there been any studies to see if that mentally, socially, emotionally impacts that child?
I will say, I really hope we're not hurting anybody socially and emotionally, that's number one. But, in 8 years I've been in Maypole, I've never had one parent call me about the science fair and say, I can't do it, my son just can't do it, my daughter can't do it, we're stressed out, I have anxiety. I've never heard that. If somebody came to me and said, we're having a hard time, we don't have supplies, I can't do it, I would say, okay, let's come up with a way to get this done without a problem. But none of these concerns that you guys have ever been sent to me to answer via phone or email.
You may,
I mean,
you may.
So, just to answer some of these things, it's interesting that you've never got a phone call
Never,
from whatever,
not
because
one.
many members of this board have received phone calls from parents, from educators in the district, who actually don't want to do the science fair, that actually think it's actually counterproductive to what's happening in the classroom, but mentioning it out of fear of retaliation. They just don't wanna say it out loud because they're afraid of getting in trouble for ending it. But, you said something about high-level projects, like, President Bellato said if we did that, we'd have high-level projects. It seems to me like the district focus is producing high-level projects and not high-level learning experiences. Because it should be what's happening in the classroom that counts, not showcasing ourselves in Hudson County. Now, the video that Director Degnan showed was a promotional video for the Hudson County
No,
STEM
it's an award
Showcase.
ceremony.
Award ceremony promotional video.
Promotion.
So, okay, so it was the award ceremony, okay, so that is the experience on a county level, not on a district level. Like I said, for many parents, many of educators saying that they just don't see this. We're not ending the proposal by the board is not to end the science project.
No.
There will always be participants, we will always have representation on a county STEM level. We are just saying that we are making it optional. Because one of my concerns is an equity issue, okay? It always seems to me that the kids whose parents can afford the $250 science kits, those are the ones that win. Let me give you a prime example. An award winner 3 years ago, okay, is a Jersey City educator. The Jersey City educator went to the Liberty Science Center and bought a project of water filtration for $250. Because she's a Jersey City educator, which Liberty Science Center is gracious enough to do, discounted that project, that kit by 50%. So now it's $125. That kid ended up winning the district science fair, okay? Another kid who actually is related to that winner did the same project and won it again. It seems to me that the parents that can afford the extra $200 on the science fair kit are the ones that are winning. So for me, that's an equity issue. Now, if the district is prepared, Director Degnan, to give every kid in this district a science fair kit and all be judged on the same standard and the same project, then I will support the science
Or
project.
different projects, but that we supply them
I will
all
say
the
this,
things.
I don't have it in
If you
front
were
of me.
getting these complaints from parents, why
Why
weren't
don't you
they
send them to me?
escalated?
So I
to
Okay,
can-
absolutely, it has been addressed with administration several times, it has been brought up to Dr.
That's
Denton,
been
you know,
brought up
it's been brought up to the
numerous
superintendent.
Year after year.
If it has not filtered down to the director, I'm sorry, my job is to notify the administration when I get it, and this is why Superintendent Eads had said, well, if you guys want to put this on the agenda, and he is supporting us in that endeavor to do so at our wish. This has been addressed several years, and you know what, finally, I'll be honest with you, the amount of calls I've gotten, I said, you know, enough is enough, this needs to be addressed.
Can I talk about the kids real fast, the equity issue you said?
Yes.
I don't have the information in front of me, but I can get it for you tomorrow if you would like.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the vote's tonight.
there are,
Sure.
well,
Okay.
I didn't. I
Right.
mean, I could give you the information,
Okay,
I
fair
didn't
enough.
know you wanted it,
Right.
or else I would have brought it.
Right.
We've had winners from each elementary school this past year that have done projects with no supplies. There's no board required, there's many projects online that are A-plus type projects that require no supplies. It's research, it's looking at data, it's writing a paper, it's not a kit that you have to put together. Yes, all those kits are online and some families go out and buy them, that's wonderful, but it's not necessary.
Look, and as the equity issue, we've addressed this by making sure that we're not just sending the projects from Resco School. Can you talk
Oh,
about
that's
that?
another issue. We have a very high level program at a Resco school right now, right? The Gifted and Talented program. I have the teachers from a Resco school who are wonderful, just like every other teacher in the district, they're all wonderful. I could send 30 projects from Nicholas Resco School every year and win. I never do that. I take 2 from every elementary school to make sure every student gets an opportunity to go to the Liberty Science Center or the STEM Showcase, whatever we're doing. I take 2 from every school, and if they even want more, I've asked for slots, I've asked for more money to put more students in. Students that really wanna go, I had teachers come to me, oh, I really have a 3rd place, and I really think they should go. Sure. You wanna do it? Sure, let's do it.
Right.
So I do everything I can to make sure that we're equitable across the district.
A question, at each school, do you have a STEM teacher?
No, we have a science teacher.
You don't have STEM teachers to do STEM,
STEM
to do,
doesn't fall under science, I mean, I
to
do
do,
science.
to do the
standards.
STEM showcase. We
Does that-
would need STEM teachers, if STEM teachers were hired, one for each school, that STEM teacher would be in charge
Sure.
of doing
I would say that the
projects.
coordinators from Hudson County, which are my colleagues,
They're all STEM
we're all science, just Union City is the STEM supervisor, we're all science supervisors doing this.
Just a heads up, everyone, we have a meeting scheduled, the notice at 6:30, public meeting, so in 15 minutes we have to do it.
Okay, so, so right now, the science teachers in each school
Yeah, we're doing this.
are the ones that do the project with the students
Because it correlates to
In the
the
classroom.
science and
in the
practice.
classroom.
Yes, and then they go home and they finish, they.
What is
do their
it
research.
what is it exactly that they have to, part that they have to do at home?
They have to go through the process with their teachers, they go through the 8 practices. This is not something that can be done very
I just
quickly.
need to know, what is it that they have to do at home?
They-
I know
Once they have their
teachers.
questions,
I'm asking, what is it part that they have to do at the house?
once their teacher approves their question,
Mhm.
whatever it may be, well, this type of break, stop, or train, or whatever the question is, they go home and they conduct their research, whether they're making little pots on a windowsill and, maybe measuring the growth, whatever it is. They go home and they chart their data, and then they write their paper, which is standard across the district, it's the same form that goes out every year, and they type up their paper on their Chromebook, and they submit it to their teacher.
So it's not a board anymore?
No, there's no board.
There's no slides?
They do PowerPoint slides, which everybody has Google and a Chromebook, so that's what.
And they need the materials to do the project at home once the question gets approved.
Correct.
Okay, so to make it equitable for everyone. So if a child wants to do the water filtration project, but the parents can't afford to do that, but that's his question based, do we give them the supplies to be able to do that at home?
We can, I've had, like I said, no concerns, but I did have people call me and say, can I have a beaker from a school? Sure. I send the beaker home with the teacher. Sure, you want the beaker, take it. So, yeah, I would help out in that.
What I'm saying, just because I looked it up before I got here, on Amazon, that water filtration project is $179. if every student wanted to do that project, right, we would provide them with the $179 science
I
kit.
don't think it's necessary.
It's only one from every grade anyway, you
necessary
can't
to
do
do
the same
that.
project.
Okay,
at the same
right,
time.
so what
But
I'm saying.
we have 11 schools.
What I'm saying, we have 11 schools.
Science fair.
Okay,
Please.
no, exactly. I
9, 10, 11,
Well, first
12.
off, look, I just want to say one more time. First of all, Trustee Burke, thank you for your question. Would the kids lose anything? I honestly don't believe that they would, because again, we're not ending this, we're just making it optional. The kids that want to produce these projects will produce great projects. We still will be represented on a county level, okay? And,
It's not about the county level.
right, I'm just telling her, I'm addressing the concerns that she may have,
understand.
right? So, and I really think that we will still be represented, and again, we're not ending anything, we're just making it optional. And I just
But
want
do we
you to
have
know
a
that, and I
plan? If we were to make it optional,
Yeah.
I think
do
it
we,
will become extinct.
do we, yeah,
That's
that's
my
my
no other
I-
district makes it mandatory.
Ma'am?
It's mandatory in Jersey City.
It is not mandatory in Jersey City.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely not.
Principal.
It is not, and you know what,
It's
this is
at
an
the
educator from
principal's
Jersey City,
discretion.
he'll tell you, it's at the principal's discretion. So, again, it is not, and so, all right, we gotta go, all right, Wait, look. it's a National History Day going to
That's,
be?
I was just about to
I mean,
say,
I had
what
to
is
do
that?
the fire prevention poster at home, I Right, had right. to purchase Well, markers, I had to that's purchase.
Mm-hmm.
gonna be addressed in a future meeting, yes. Okay.
But I don't, can I please finish what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think you should be changing something unless you have a plan in place. Don't make it first of all, it's already started throughout Bayonne,
Right.
so we can't pull it and make it optional now.
Yes, we can.
Because,
Absolutely.
because there are parents that have already started. Why, you have, the train has already left the station.
Parents have already started.
Yes,
Right.
hello. But let me just,
That's exactly my point. Parents have started, not children.
let me just finish
Yes.
my statement,
But you know,
okay?
good point, Trustee Burke.
Let me just finish.
It's about the kids.
Oh, no, I'm gonna,
It's in the best
Okay.
interest.
Go ahead.
But that's.
wait, trustee
No,
Burke
sorry,
is
Trustee
speaking.
Burke speaking. Sorry.
All right. Making this optional now, you don't have a plan, how the teacher's gonna coordinate this, how the students are gonna coordinate. I think with any project that we do, and we have 3 major ones that we do, all in a row. We have science fair, we have the fire prevention, and we have national history. If you start saying to a kid, it's optional, I know one of my kids will be like full throttle for the history, but he'll be like, I'm not doing science, it's optional, I don't have to do this.
Right.
Are they losing out? Because they're also learning a little bit more every time they do a different type of, let me finish,
No, of
please,
course.
let me finish.
No, of course, I
They're
understand
they're learning every single time they do a different project, just like they're learning every single time they're doing a history project. They're learning more about a specific individual time or place of history. Same way they're using their brains when they're doing their, and again, I'm a mother. I have 2 kids in the district that are still doing these science fair projects. Both of
My
my
kids do 'em
children,
too.
both of my children, they have IEP, so it's very stressful for us to do this. But I don't know,
Right.
I don't think we should be I don't think we should be changing what we have right
Right.
now until we have a game plan as to how this is actually gonna run.
So just to
That's
answer, the game plan would be, it's optional, it's not too late. The kid that wants to do it can do it. It'll be an extra credit project. So how does the teacher do that? They grade those projects that they get. That's it, that is the plan.
If that's part of their grading though already, if it's part of their grades right now, what do they put in place?
Teachers are very resourceful and come up with another assignment. Or, here's an
I don't know,
idea, take away that assignment altogether. It wouldn't matter, they still I have faith in our science teachers in this district that they can address the next generation standards through their instruction in the classroom, through the assignments and the homework assignments that they get. They're very capable people, the project's not needed.
All right, we can finish this conversation.
I have a statement I'd like to read, are we gonna do it outside then?
Folks, right before we leave, trustees, I just need to know curriculum. Pam will move, Melissa, you'll second. Curriculum. All right, and now you name, just we didn't sign anything. Personnel?
And I'd like to take a moment of silence to honor her and all that she contributed to the city of Bayonne and to school.
Thank you. Next up is our approval of minutes and acceptance of the communication. Do I have a motion? And a second?
A second.
Motion and a second on that. Trustee Burke? Is a yes. Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Gadesky Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez? Yes. Trustee Stefan?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Bellato?
Yes.
Next up is our curriculum. Part of the agenda, resolutions A1 up to including A22. Do I have a motion? Motion from Trustee Stefan, and a second
I'll second.
from Trustee Gadesky Rodriguez. On that motion and second, Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius? Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Gadesky Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez? Yes. Trustee Stefan?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Bellato?
Yes.
Next up is our building and finance. Resolution B13 is being tabled. There's a duplicate resolution, so we don't need that. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Motion from Trustee Egan and a second. From Trustee Gonzalez. Motion and second on finance. Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Gadesky Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez? Yes. Trustee Stefan?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
And President Bellato?
Yes.
Finally, with personnel resolutions, resolution C1 up until including C32. Do I have a motion? Motion from Trustee Cassius, and a second. Or the other way around, I'm sorry, Trustee Burke, and a second from Trustee Cassius. On that motion and second, Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Gadesky Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Sclafane?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
And President Bellato?
Yes.
Okay. We will now move to non-consent. Just give me 1 second to check these cards. Okay. First up is Resolution D1. Whereas the Bayonne Board of Education is amending the current community school science project, which currently requires a science project be completed and that the project is counted as 2 test grades. Whereas the Bayonne Board of Education recommends the science project is voluntary for all community school students. Therefore, be it resolved that the science project is voluntary and will be counted as an extra credit project. Be it further resolved that this Board of Education move that the recommendations of this Board of Education be adopted effective immediately. Be it further resolved that this resolution is effective immediately. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right. Vice President Munoz. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from President Bellato. So I have a motion and a second. I don't have any cards on the topic, so I will take a vote. Trustee Burke?
No.
Excuse me 1 second. I don't have any cards unless, Ms. Quinn, is this not right? Not about this. I don't have anything.
Okay. Lisa, call it again.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Trustee Burke?
No.
Is a no. Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Is a yes. Trustee Egan?
No.
Is a no. Trustee Gadesky Rodriguez?
Yes.
Is a yes. Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Yes. Trustee Sclafane? No. Is a no. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
And President Bellato?
Yeah.
Okay, so the resolution passes. Now I have resolution D2. Whereas this Board of Education finds it necessary to make administrative adjustments and reassignments to meet the current operating needs of the school district. Be it resolved that it is recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the below named personnel be reassigned to the position listed next to their name. Be it further resolved that this Board of Education approve the recommendations made by the superintendent of schools to reassign the personnel listed below on the effective dates indicated. Lydia Hayes, teacher of the handicap, to 10-month assistant principal, $135,595. Effective date is November 1st. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Who's that again?
Egan.
Egan. So I have a motion from trustee Egan. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
That was a second from?
Burke.
Trustee Burke, thank you. So I have a motion and a second. Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Is a yes. Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Is a yes. Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Is a yes. Trustee Godesky?
Abstain.
Rodriguez is an abstention. Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Scafane? Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
And President Villado?
Yes.
Is a yes. Okay, we do have some questions this evening. We'll start with Michelle Christie, 20 Hartley Place, Bayonne. And I remind all our speakers, you have 3 minutes.
I have 3 questions, and I would appreciate it if you didn't respond until I asked them. My first question is, why is it going to take a year to be paid money that's owed to us, referring to our health waiver? Question 2, the health waiver from last year is supposed to be paid this December. And this December, we're supposed to get our first payment for this year. Are we going to get it this December, or are we going to wait till next year? Third, how would you like it if this was done to you?
So I can answer that question. The administration has been working with the BPA to resolve some of these issues. First off, I would apologize for some of these delays. All payments are up to date currently. Retroactive payments have been sent to the BPA leadership, and they're reviewing it for correctness, and once it's reviewed and sent back to us, we'll be making those payments. Your December payment will be made as a lump sum, and you'll also receive a payment in June for those that qualify. And just a reminder that all the paperwork needs to be qualified and sent out and returned to the administration in order to be paid. There's some legal requirements there that we've expressed to the BPA, and we're trying to work through that to get everybody the retroactive pay that they deserve.
But I don't understand why it would take a year to do this.
There's some paperwork that was missing from a lot of people, and we're trying to work through those issues.
I think it's just stall tactics, but thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Joe Wyatt, 301 Maple Avenue, North Plainfield.
Thank you.
Mr. White, it's good to see you.
Thank you. I've just given the president the acceptable use policy that you have, and I apologize for not giving copies to the rest of the board, but my experience is I can't talk to you, you won't answer me, I can only talk to the president, so in order to save paper and time, I just don't, so you'll just be, you have access to this policy. Would you turn to the last page, ma'am? Where it's circled and there's a asterisk, do you see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So for the rest of the board, I'm going to read. This is electronic communication between staff and students. Well, cellular, oh, wait a minute, sorry, I got the wrong page here. Okay. This is personal devices. Students will keep all cell phones and other handheld devices silenced and put away during school hours unless instructed by staff to use for educational purposes. My question, ma'am, is that being enforced?
We, the board, are not there in the school building to enforce these. This is the policy that the board has adopted and therefore should be enforced by the administrators of each building.
Good. So would it not be appropriate to interrogate those people and ask, is this policy being enforced?
That would not be that I would be able be able to interrogate those people and ask them if that policy is being enforced.
So you have no way of
I can only speak to the superintendent, ask him to make sure that this policy is being enforced.
So then should we ask the superintendent, is this policy being enforced?
Superintendent, is the phone policy being enforced? Actually, we discussed this the other day, you and I, about enforcing this
Correct.
policy.
Yes. And if teachers aren't enforcing that in the classroom, if you could give me their names, I'd be more than happy to take care of that. If you have firsthand knowledge of that, I'd be more than happy.
Well, by the way, I enforce this policy, and I've enforced it ever since, even before this policy. I didn't know this policy existed. I permit no electronic devices in my classroom, including Chromebooks, unless under my specific permission, because they are the greatest distraction and the greatest destroyer of education that there exists, okay? And I can tell you that and if I didn't do that, everybody in my class would have their cell phones out. I walk by classes, and I see students on their cell phones. Most of them, they're tapping away, and they're not paying attention to what the class is going on. And so, but it seems to me that there should be instructions and according to this policy, they can't use them in their hallway or in their cafeteria. And by gosh, they have them in the cafeteria, and they're dangerous. They're dangerous walking down the hall. They walk down the hall with their cell phone, texting, and they run into things.
Mr. Wyatt, thank you for your comments this evening. I'll have to stop you at 3 minutes. Next up is Melanie Tischler-Quinn, 22 Zabriskie. Science. I'll let you do it. That's okay.
Hi, everybody. So the first thing I'd like to do is just make a comment. I just want to make a positive comment. One of the things that my son just started high school, and every single one of the teachers has been amazing, flexible, communicative, and I just think that should go on record because some of the staff here has been really amazing to work with. In addition, my concerns that I'm going to bring up, I have not just brought that up, I have gone through a chain. So I have gone through the appropriate chain. I am a school psychologist in a school, so I know there is a chain, so I have followed that chain. And in doing so, I have had very quick responses with Mr. Degnan, Dr. Vecchiarelli, and even Dr. Neese during the CPAC meeting. So, and it has been a very positive experience in terms of communication, and I do appreciate that. The reason I'm here then is because I do want to put on record what my concerns are, because I think that it not only affects me, but me and my student, not me personally, but everybody. So my son started here, he is a special education student, and I had a few concerns that I asked about. And one, I asked, where is the written information on tracks for parents to access, like the track A and track B, because they're both college level. And one of the responses I got in an email is, you will not find any formal BBOED or regulations regarding the A and B tracks. The A and B tracks were established over 20 years ago. This is past practice and a model that has been in the best interest for all students. However, 20 years ago is a very long time, so I don't know why we wouldn't look at that and why that would be stated to somebody. 20 years to say, well, that's how it's been, to me is not an answer. Number two, is everybody aware that true lab science in a lab room is not being held on level B students? So when I asked, they're saying that every science room provides a lab. From Mr. Degnan. From Mrs. Degnan, I got both have the same curriculum, but the pacing are different in the different levels. But the teacher said, being in a B class, it limits how much they can do. The room is not outfitted to do laboratories, and they're not able to use any lab equipment. And number three was, if all special education inclusion students are in track B, and only real lab periods and real labs are offered in level B, that would appear to mean that most, if not all, special ed students do not participate in a lab period, a true lab period, where they work in a laboratory doing experiments. To me, that is not equitable. Everybody could have their own opinion on that. And what I will say, Dr. Vecchiarelli and Dr. Neese, is it Mr. or Doctor, I don't know, have
I'm sorry, I'm just a mister.
Okay, Mr. Have both stated to me, they thanked me for bringing it to their attention, and they said it is something that they will work on, so I do appreciate that, but I think that we all should be aware that is happening, and that was my statement.
Just to ask a question, hold your time because I'm asking a question. Just ask a question, you're saying that your child is in a science class in the high school. Because he's in track B, he does no experiments at all in school.
So I moved him to track A. I made them edit my child's IEP, so I had to choose between his special education needs or having him do experiments, like a 6-period experiment. What I'm being told, they do some sort of labs, but some sort of lab experience, but there is no true lab. Like when we think of a lab, what we did in a lab, we wore goggles, we were in a lab room and we do hands-on experiments. That is not, from my understanding, being done. And when I've asked other parents, and in the information I'm getting, that is not.
The high school B track students that are in science classes are not getting labs and experiment time.
I mean, you can talk, I mean, they can answer that. They're going to say that they do some sort of labs, but they are not in a lab room, and they are not doing a true, laboratory experiment. But you can ask them. That's just the information I'm being provided. And there's only inclusion in track B, so that means special education students, unless you don't need any assistance, right? So are not in a lab room. Won't put the yes. So that's my concern.
Mrs. Quinn, I want to thank you for coming and saying this and bringing it to the board, because I didn't know that. And it seems to me that, we've spoken a lot about next generation standards. It seems to me that the level B students at Bayonne High School the next generation standards aren't being met without a lab. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm sure the administration will definitely address this.
Not really. Mr. Woods, you filled out a card for this evening?
We have the director here.
We got the director. We'll take care of it. But thank you, Mr. Wyatt.
I've been addressing this for 4 years.
Excuse me, Mr. Wyatt, you don't have the floor, and I would ask the board not to engage the audience. Mr. Woods, you have a card. Would you like to get up, or would you like to pass this evening? Thank you.
So I kind of don't want to disrupt the possibility of people getting to homecoming, and it really wasn't my goal, but there was a meeting that took place. That thing's not going to stand. I think we need a new podium up here. I'll just hold the mic.
There you go.
There you go.
So, wow, this thing is really falling apart. Seen better days. So anyway, we probably would have been out earlier, but there was a longer meeting. But I'll work my way backwards to that. So Mr. Wyatt brought up a point about the acceptable use policy, and unfortunately, it was brought up about teachers maybe not enforcing that. I can tell you, teachers enforce it, and I'm not trying to throw people under the bus here, but when teachers have written people up, and I'm talking about the high school in particular, there is a variation through the houses on what and how certain things get enforced. So it's not about questioning if the teachers are doing it, because the teachers are. It's going to depend on who's enforcing that write-up, because there are disparities throughout the houses where this stuff happens. And I need to make sure that people do know that teachers are doing their job in that. One of the places I think the district may have gone wrong several years ago was opening up the possibility for students to have the cell phones out in the hallways. That's when the things really got sticky in the district. And so there are times where you're going to use cell phones in the classroom because there are things that we do to adapt to it. But it really did open up a door that made it very difficult for teachers. And since I'm still in the classroom, I can tell you it's a problem. It absolutely is, but it's not teachers, because we are doing what we can. The fact that we are still understaffed in the district and still trying to hire people in, we're still understaffed, and that's a bit of a problem as well. So just wanted to put that out there, that we are doing our job, just so that people do understand we are trying to do that. But my main reason why, before Mr. Wyatt got up and spoke about that, was to kind of get into not necessarily what was discussed, but the length in which it was discussed, because a lot of things have happened in this district that we have brought to the attention of people, and we've never spent that length of time to address harassment from administrators against staff, or other things that have gone on in a district about hiring practices. And it's just funny that we spent that much time. And listen, it's a definite thing that should have been brought up, but a lot of time was spent to go into the session. It almost brought me back to like 15 years ago when we did a closed session, came back, that kind of fun stuff that we did. But I don't know, as we were sitting together and we were talking about that, we all discussed, again, how a lot of the issues that have been brought up on our end just kind of get brushed over. And that one, because phone calls were made, and again, rightfully so, but I think we have to look at those things.
Mr. Woods, can I just say something? We didn't go to executive session to discuss the science fair. We went in an executive session because of a legal matter that was before the board.
Okay.
So the delay that you had outside.
Yeah. Okay. So that was legal.
It was not
legal. Yeah. No, I didn't think. No. I know because the lawyer was in there. No, I know that. Yeah. The lawyer had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Thing.
I just wanted to make you aware that you weren't outside for that.
I knew that it wasn't for that.
And I apologize for you guys going into closed session. Normally that doesn't happen.
No. I know. It made us reminisce of the old days a little bit, but I just think that sometimes. The things that we bring up just have been moved along, and certain things have happened that don't necessarily have received the attention that they should have. And I just want to lay that out there because, again, just sitting there with that was just concerning to me.
And just with all due respect, some of the things that you brought up are personnel issues that we can't discuss.
Correct.
In front of the public here or even outside unless someone's rifted, riced. So that being said, we do discuss it in executive session behind closed doors with the administration. Okay. But it's a conversation you would not be there because obviously some of your some of your suggestions or some of your comments have been directed towards individuals. Correct. So that's why. So
it can, I know that. I know.
Right. I don't want you to think that anyone on this board is not listening to the BEA's request. It's just we can't have that out in public.
Okay. So again, the last thing I'll circle back to is that we are doing our jobs. Probably people have stopped writing things up because they weren't being enforced, and it's war of attrition.
I just want to clarify. I did not say teachers. I did not say. I said because that would be administrative. To write some to
President Vallado. No.
Okay.
You didn't
just want to make sure.
I just wanted to make sure that we're not getting tanked.
You won't.
Because we are doing it. But again, it's war of attrition, and
I believe
some days, but people are doing their job. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Adjourn.
That's all I have.
Motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn the public meeting. Trustee Burke, Trustee Cassius, Trustee Egan, Trustee Gadesky Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes.
Trustee Scafane. Trustee Wilbeck is absent. Vice President Munoz.
Yes.
Vice President Vallado.
Put it on my to-do list.
7:54, the meeting is adjourned. Board will not return.
Oh.
For what?
And I thank you.